75-59 is the final score for Tech inside the Castle. We're now joined by head coach Buzz Williams for the SunTrust Buzz Williams Report. And Buzz, we went into this game and we talked about using these home games as an opportunity to get better. It seemed like somewhat predictably the guys opened up sluggishly, but your transition defense got the offense flowing through the middle portion of the game, but then a little bit of a lull. What was your evaluation of the performance tonight?
I thought it was by far the worst we've played. We would not have beaten any other team that we've played up until this point with the performance that we had tonight. I anticipated that we would start bad, which for sure we did, and then I thought we would kind of come out of it, and hopefully that we would take the next step relative to what we've done the last on the 10-day road trip, and we went in the opposite direction in a free fall, and so. I mean, we got outscored. They shot 63% in the second half. Their OER was 1.34, which is distinctly the worst defense we've played all year. So not encouraging for sure.
The lead got to 27 in the second half, and then they kind of made a bunch of stops and whatnot. You finally had to call timeout there with, I think, 9-11 left. Kind of what was your message to the team then?
I didn't say a word to them. There was nothing to say, right? They had scored 7 out of 8 times. We had, in that same span, I know we had 2 turnovers. We had scored 1 out of those 8 possessions. I probably, in hindsight, I should not have called the timeout because that's kind of, in the guts of the game, that's where we have to grow up. And maybe we will. I anticipate that we will, but for sure tonight we had no maturity relative to how hard we competed and what we want our identity to be.
Yeah, let's stay right there because I didn't think you were going to call the timeout, but it seemed like the game got to the precipice of getting away to some degree, and that forced your hand. But you were trying to stay with that even-keeled demeanor that has been more commonplace this year. Why is this a group that's more beneficial to than your last 2 teams?
I just think because of my relationship with them. Obviously, they know who I am. I know who they are. I think with this group, bad emotion is bad. And so that doesn't mean that I'm negative at times with them. I'm probably more positive than I've ever been in my life / career. I think this is what that team needs. I don't know Zach particularly. I don't think it settles very well with Bibbs. It throws Seth for a loop when it's all out of whack. So I think that's part of the job of the coach, right, is to be a reflection of what their team needs. And in my opinion, thus far through 8 games, I think that's what our team has needed. That doesn't mean that it won't evolve and morph into something else, but that's predicated on how we continue to advance. I want to be whatever is best for those guys. And other than those 10 or 12 minutes, so we've played 8 games. So out of 320 minutes, those 10 or 12 minutes that we were awful, for the most part, I think that's been the right demeanor relative to the team.
Talk about Seth Allen a little bit. He caught his career high with 8 assists in this game and only had the 1 turnover. And as a team, you had 19 assists on the 26 field goals. Were you happy with the ball movement?
Yeah, I think we're spending more time on it. Obviously, confidence comes when you have success playing that away. Like we showed them a clip tape today of, we show, I think, 6 of the 8 guys that play are for sure visual learners. So when they can see somebody else do it, and then the next clip they see themselves do it, they see the correlation, right? And we do that for ball movement. That's what we did today. But we do that for our plays. We don't run plays that nobody else runs, and so we find other teams, whether it's NBA teams or college teams. Hey, this is how they do it. This is how we did it. What do you think the difference is? So they understand ball movement, and I think Seth has really taken on I want to try to make the game easier for my team. And I think Five didn't play very well tonight. But those 2 guys, when the ball's in their hands, particularly even with Chris, when Chris gets a defensive rebound, that's kind of like what we talked about in pregame. We're not only fast physically, but we're really fast when that ball's moving.
Buzz Williams is with us. Let's stick with the speed. It seemed like you were able to dictate tempo because of your full court pressure defense in the first half, and it got me to thinking about going forward and for this team. We've talked a lot about speed as it pertains to ball movement offensively, but how big of a weapon do you need that pressure defense, the length of the floor, to be, particularly when you're up against a team where you're outsized?
Yeah, well, we're going to be outsized for sure from January on, every team that we play. And I think there's positives to it, right? You want to keep the ball away from your basket as long as possible. And so the more pressure you can apply in the full court, front court, I think that's healthy. The issue is when you apply pressure in the front court, once it becomes in the half court, if you don't shrink up, those are our words, but if you just stay spaced out, now you're giving that team, whether they're bigger than you or not, you're giving them creases, whether that's off the pass or the bounce. And that's, that's the line. Like in the full court, when it becomes half court, the line between full court and half court, do we understand and can we get better at shrinking the floor? And in some ways, they understand it. We just need more reps at it. And I think going forward, that's why we were doing it tonight, because I think it needs to be a weapon that we use. We can't play like that all the time when you only play 8 guys, but you can play like that in spurts for sure.
What do you want to see moving forward to the next game? Obviously, Ole Miss will be a stiffer competition on Sunday. What's kind of
we'll have to be distinctly better, particularly defensively. I'm not ever concerned, and I don't mean it in an arrogant way. I'm not concerned if we can score enough points to win. Even against Texas A&M when we were in the drought versus their zone, my concern was never can we score enough points. We'll score enough points. I think going into today, we were in the Ken Palm stuff that I study. We were the 15th best offensive team in the country. I think that's probably a little bit of a skewed number based on this early in the season. But offensively, I think we can score enough. Defensively, can we do a better job on the glass, defensive rebounding on first shot field goal attempts? For the most part, we have been better thus far this year. But Ole Miss is going to put 5 guys on the floor that can score. They're similar to us in certain respects. And so can we get enough stops to win is probably more the question.